Baseball in Finland. Finland may not seem like a place where you would find baseball, but it does exist. We're talking with Tony Jones. Tony is the president of the Finnish Baseball and Softball Federation. Hey, Tony, tell us about baseball in Finland.
Well, hi, John. Thanks for having me on the show. Baseball was an exhibition sport, actually, in 1952 at the Helsinki Olympic Games, but nothing really came of it from that. And in 1980, teams started playing in Turku in western Finland. And in 1991, with the addition of another team in Helsinki, the federation was started. So we're going on a little over 30 years now.
And how many people are playing baseball in Finland today? Is the sport concentrated in one geographical area, or is it spread out across the entire country?
Yeah, our membership is around 250, and that's scattered through about 12 to 14 teams. And those teams are assembled through about 7 clubs. And so we're mainly in the Helsinki region. We do have a couple of teams north of Helsinki, in Lahti, about an hour north, in Tampere, about 2 hours north, and in Turku, about 2 hours west of here. So we're makes it a little bit easier to coordinate things, and so we're basically concentrated in southern Finland.
Let's talk about Pesäpallo, which I think is one of the most fascinating aspects of the story of baseball in Finland. Pesäpallo is a game that is derived from baseball, and if I'm not mistaken, Pesäpallo is actually the national sport of Finland.
Correct, yes. Baseball is not terribly popular here in Finland because of Pesäpallo, our own version of the game. Certainly people are aware of the sport, but our federation is small and there's not a lot of access to watching games. So Pesäpallo is the dominant sport here, and that's a variant of the game that was developed in the early 1800s, got its start officially in 1922, and has been played ever since at a professional level here for both men and women. And it's a big sport here.
Is there any overlap between baseball and Pesäpallo players? In other words, do baseball players play Pesäpallo and vice versa?
Yeah, mainly, you play Pesäpallo or baseball. However, in the recent years, we've had a number of guys convert because our regions where we play are varied. Pesäpallo is played mainly in the countryside, so basically outside the Helsinki region. And we play mainly baseball in Helsinki and a couple of other spots in southern Finland. So we don't overlap too much, so we kind of keep to ourselves. But of course, people move around, so we have gotten a few crossovers, and they've done quite well.
Well, I would imagine that bat and ball skills would translate from Pesäpallo to baseball since the games are so similar.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, we're talking about the same skill set with throwing and catching and running and hitting. So, it does transfer over, of course, with the differences of the sport. You have to teach a few things, but Pesäpallo guys usually adapt pretty well.
Now, Tony, you are originally from America, and in a moment we're going to discuss how it is that you came to be involved with baseball in Finland. But first, I want to ask about the others. Who is playing baseball in Finland? Are we mainly talking about American expats?
We're lucky. Most of our players, the vast majority of our players are Finnish. I would still say we're still off the group of guys that started in the mid-1990s. So they're getting old and hopefully passing the torch on to the next generation. But we're mainly Finns. We got maybe a dozen or so Americans that are playing here, and then about last count, I think we had about 40 foreign-born players.
And Tony, how did you wind up in Finland?
Well, I ended up in Finland through my girlfriend at the time, who became my ex-wife, or wife and ex-wife, and found out about baseball about 4 years after being here. And just a neighbor happened to come by who knew I was interested in baseball and asked me if I'd be interested in judging a baseball game. And I told him, well, umpiring, yes, sure, I'd be interested. I didn't know they played baseball in Finland. And he said, yeah, they have a league going on. And so he asked if I'd be interested, and I jumped at the chance and umpired starting in 1997. And I started playing in 2000, started my own team just north of Helsinki in 2002, and currently going on my second team that I started up about 4 years ago.
What was your baseball background before you arrived in Finland?
I started off when I was 8 years old as a scorekeeper for my local league in Fremont, California. And shortly after that, I think it was about a year or two after that, they just asked me if I'd be interested in umpiring a game where we were missing an umpire. And again, jumped at the chance, thought it'd be really cool as a kid to do some games. And umpired for about 6 years up through low high school level. And so basically I was a scorekeeper and umpire. I really never played organized baseball, just played with friends for fun mainly.
And now here you are, the president of the Finnish Baseball and Softball Federation.
Yeah, so I'm going on my fourth year as president of the Finnish Baseball and Softball Federation. I've been on the board since 2003, so a little over 10 years now. And so I do that. I'm also the secretary of my club team, the head coach of my club team, and then I also play because my son started a couple of years ago. My youngest son, Mark, started 2 years ago playing, and so I joined him, and we were having a good time with that. And then I'm the head of umpires as well.
Tony, where does the Finnish national baseball team rank among other European countries? And do you do any recruiting of players of Finnish ancestry from other countries?
Right now, after our success in Slovenia in 2014, we've moved up a little bit in the ranks. So we're ranked 26 in Europe and 64 in the world. So a slight improvement, and we hope to definitely move forward with that. It's been tough to get a hold of Finns in, say, Canada or the U.S. that have a baseball background. We just don't have a lot of the money, and of course, if they don't have the money to come over, it's really hard to recruit them. And of course, not too many people know that we play baseball here, so it makes it a little bit difficult to recruit some of those, say, slightly more talented players that have been born and raised with the sport.
Tell me about the playing facilities in Finland. What does a baseball field in Finland look like?
Well, we don't have a regulation grass field. We haven't had, and we're moving towards that direction here. We've got some inroads into our first regulation field. So we're playing on dirt multi-purpose fields at the moment that are all city-run.
So you have 250 people playing baseball. You're playing on grass fields. It's probably not the most glamorous setting for baseball. How are you finding umpires to actually officiate these games?
Well, it's certainly not the most desired position on the field, so you get some reluctance by guys, but we've been pretty lucky here in Finland that we've always had a number of really good guys that will come out and do their games. We actually have two guys that are just umpiring. They don't play at all, so they just umpire. And this year we recruited a number more new umpires, and they've done their fair share of games. So we've had our trouble in the past, of course, because it's not so popular. But I run annual clinics, and through that we get new guys. And with our recreational league, I always tell guys, look, come on out there, umpire some games. Don't worry about making the mistakes. We'll correct them afterwards. And then in our top league, of course, we put a little bit more of a higher level of umpires. So we go through a proper training course of theory and practical matters.
Tony, are kids playing baseball in Finland?
Unfortunately, we don't have any organized youth baseball. We have, through my club, we have a number of kids that are playing, but they're all basically routed through our recreational league that we call the Suomi-sarja or Finland League. And so we do have a number of younger players, and if they're below the age of 14, we have some modified batting rules for them, so we make it a little bit easier for them. So it's not so competitive, and but we bring in everybody we can. But right now, my team's the only one that has any youth activities.
So what's next for Finnish baseball?
For the future, we're looking at going through schools and getting more kids involved in playing either baseball or softball, and I've been trying to introduce kickball to make it a little bit easier. Excuse me. And that's been received very well, and I'm hoping that that will start producing some players here in the very near future. And then, of course, we're reaching out through the social media to make people just more aware of the sport that we do play it here. and that it is accessible, and we don't have any major tryouts or anything like that. We bring in all comers to come and try it, or if they want to, of course, join a club, that they're welcome to do that as well.
And we've been talking to Tony Jones of the Finnish Baseball and Softball Federation. Tony, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on the show, John. Thank you.
For more information on baseball in Finland, visit baseballunited.net. Thanks for listening.